Donald Trump doubled down and tripled down on torture.
Ted Cruz was asked about waterboarding, and he couldn't answer the question because, he was politically correct. And in all fairness to him, it was essentially, what do you think of waterboarding? Would you approve it? Would you this? Would you that? And he didn't want to get into it. And I understand that because he wants to be politically correct. They're allowed to chop off the heads of people, including ourselves, but we're not allowed to waterboard. Do you think they think we are the dumbest, weakest people in the world as they sit there? So they asked Ted Cruz about waterboarding, and you can see his answer 2 debates ago, and he's going like, waterboarding, what do I say? What do I say? It's so vicious, it's so violent. Sort of the minimal, I don't know, I'm sure it's not pleasant, but it's minimal. So he didn't want to get into it. He didn't sort of answer the question. They turned, what do you think, Mr. Trump? So I said, well, throughout the Middle East, they're chopping off heads of Christians. They're chopping off heads of people. Anybody gets in the way. They're drowning 30, 40 people at a time in heavy steel cages. As far as I'm concerned, waterboarding is absolutely fine, but we should go much further. And I got a standing ovation. Standing ovation. Right?
Let me ask you about your position on torture. When you and I talked last week, you said that General Hayden was wrong when he said that the military wouldn't follow you on the question of waterboarding and on the killing of terrorist families. In the debate, you said, if I say do it, they're going to do it. You were talking about the military. Then on Friday, you said, I will not order our military to violate those laws.
Well, you never asked me about violating laws, in all fairness. You weren't talking about violating laws. I would say this, look. We have an enemy in the Middle East that's chopping off heads and drowning people in massive steel cages, okay? We have an enemy that doesn't play by the laws. You could say laws, and they're laughing. They're laughing at us right now. I would like to strengthen the laws so that we can better compete. It's very tough to beat enemies that don't have any restrictions, all right? We have these massive restrictions. Now, I will always abide by the law, but I would like to have the law expanded. I would like to make... Well, I happen to think that when you're fighting an enemy that chops off heads, I happen to think that we should use something that's stronger than we have right now. Right now, basically, waterboarding is essentially not allowed, as I understand it.
And you'd like it to be if you could expand
I would certainly like it to be at a minimum, to allow that.
The reason that the waterboarding was a number of reasons, but one of them was because the worry was that if America does that, then our soldiers, American hostages, will be treated even worse. That's the argument. What do you think of that argument?
They're doing that anyway. They're killing our soldiers when they capture them. I mean, they're doing that anyway. Now, if that were the case, in other words, we won't do it and you don't do it, but we're not playing by those rules. They're not, why, did somebody tell ISIS, look, we're going to treat your guys well. Would you please do us a favor and treat our guys well? They don't do that. We are playing by rules, but they have no rules. It's very hard to win when that's the case.
Isn't that what separates us from the savages?
No, I don't think so. No, we have to beat the savages.
And therefore throw all rules out.
We have to beat the savages.
By being savages.
No, look, you have to play the game the way they're playing the game. You're not going to win if we're soft and they have no rules. Now, I want to stay within the laws. I want to do all of that, but I think we have to increase the laws.
There's one part there where he says, we have to defeat the savages by becoming savages? And Trump goes, no, well... And then he goes on to say, more or less, yeah, I want to play by their rules. Oh, do you? So why stop there? Why not burn people in cages? Why not behead them? Why not do mass drownings? Why not torture and rape children? Do you not understand that us having a moral code and a system that's better than ISIS is a badge of honor, and that is strength? It is strength to say, we're not going to be barbarians, we're not going to be savages, we're going to win, and we're going to do it in a way that upholds our values. I mean, think about what would happen, for example, if Donald Trump was in charge during the Nuremberg Tribunal. Now, there were plenty of people who were saying, why would you give these guys a trial? Just kill them and kill them all. And Stalin, for example, said, or just do a show trial and then kill them. Now, think about it. Why is that the wrong way to go? And this is the argument that, to our credit, the U.S. made. We said, whoa, wait. We would be no better than them if our response is get rid of due process, forget actually adjudicating right and wrong, guilt or innocence. Let's do exactly what they did and call ourselves better than them. Kill them all. Don't think twice. That's what they do. We're better than that. So we're not just going to kill them. We're not just going to have a show trial. We're going to do the right thing. We're going to have a real trial and then adjudicate guilt or innocence. And then we move forward from there. That's how civilized people act. Donald Trump is pro-savage. He thinks he's the savior from ISIS. He's not the savior from ISIS. He's the opposite side of the same coin of bigotry and hate and intolerance and violating international law and the Geneva Conventions and the Nuremberg Tribunal and the Constitution. You know what a good follow-up there would have been? Oh, so you're admitting here, Donald Trump, that you are un-American. He's like, well, why would you say it? No, I'm the best American that there is. Blah, 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 blah. Wait a second, the 8th Amendment protects from cruel and unusual punishment. You're saying, let's do cruel and unusual punishment. That would make you, by definition, anti-American. Your rebuttal. This is how you do the interview. A lot of people gave this guy credit for saying what he said. No, I don't think he did that great of a job. The one good line was, so you want to defeat the savages by becoming the savages. That was the one great line. Everything else was a little too soft for my liking. And understand a deeper reason why we don't engage in these tactics, why you shouldn't have Guantanamo Bay, why you should never do torture. You don't get the right people. We don't live in the show 24 in a fucking Steven Seagal movie. Look at how we got the people at Guantanamo Bay. We cut deals with Afghan warlords and told them we'll send them money and weapons if they send us Al-Qaeda guys. So what did they do? They rounded up random people and shipped them to us. People they didn't like and shipped them to us and said, yeah, that's Al-Qaeda. And then we locked them up. We tortured them, indefinite detention, so on and so forth. So to be against torture is not just politically correct, it is correct. It's so amazing that we have this guy, this vicious barbarian and demagogue who's leading on the Republican side. And remember, for those of you who say, and I find this hilarious, when people say, our violence isn't as bad as their violence because we're not trying to kill civilians, which is something I hear all the time. Well, Trump came along, he literally said in an interview on Fox and Friends, let's kill civilians. Let's kill the families of terrorists. Not the terrorists, let's kill grandmas, toddlers, women, children. Let's kill the families. So then he says kill civilians, and what do people respond with? Well, our violence is still better. You just said our violence is better because we don't try to kill civilians. Then this guy says, let's kill civilians. And you say, well, that violence is still better than the other guys. No! What he wants to do is make the United States of ISIS. That's what Donald Trump is in favor of, okay? And if you disagree, you're just disregarding what the fuck he's told you he wants to do. No, he wants to torture because he wants to get the right information to prevent the attacks and this and that. Wrong! He said at a rally last month, hey, we need to torture, quote, even if it doesn't work. So he ain't torturing or trying, oh, let me stop the ticking time bomb. He's torturing because he wants to torture. You know what that is, ladies and gentlemen? Quite a bit like ISIS, okay? He's not the savior from this kind of world. He is this kind of world. Our violence is not better by definition. When we start purposefully attacking civilians and torturing people left and right, that's not diverging from ISIS tactics. That's embracing ISIS tactics. That's saying, I want to be as bad as them too. How come they get to drown kids in cages and we don't get to do it? Let's do it. Donald, we're not sure that that's even an ISIS guy. Guilty enough. Guilty enough. I said kill the families of ISIS terrorists. So, hey, you're going to drown a kid whose older brother or father was in ISIS in a cage? Well, there are no rules, so we got to play by the same rules as them, which means there are no rules, so kill them all. Kill them all. If you've fallen for this, look in the mirror. The problem is you. You're not civilized. You're not standing up for Western values. You are the antithesis of Western values. He's advocating for things that violate the Geneva Convention, the Nuremberg Tribunal, Magna Carta, the U.S. Constitution, U.S. law. If you agree with him on this, you agree with ISIS. You don't agree with civilized people.